and Oliver's curiosity about him had no end, especially after the day he had seen that strange stone with Uncle Richard. Since then, countless questions had been circling in his mind. Martin said, "That would actually be good, Uncle Richard. But I think just looking after your friend's house might feel a bit monotonous for Oliver. There's no one there to keep him company. So if you want, he could come to your office from time to time, spend some time with us, and maybe even help with small tasks." Hearing this, Uncle Richard said, "That's a very good suggestion, Martin. I hadn't really thought about it. Spending the whole day alone in such a house would indeed be quite boring." Then, turning to Oliver, he added, "Don't worry, Oliver. From where you'll be staying, my office is at most a 20-minute walk. You can come whenever you like. You might not always find me there, as I often have to run around for work, but you'll find Martin. He doesn't have that much work anyway. Just some paperwork and occasionally helping entertain clients when I bring them in. If you come and go, it'll make Martin's time pass better too." Hearing Martin and Uncle Richard, Oliver felt very pleased. It had only been a few days since he had known them, yet they were showing him such warmth and sincerity. Oliver said, "That sounds great. Honestly, I hadn't even thought about how I would spend my time alone in such a house. It never really crossed my mind, though I did bring some books with me to pass the time and deal with the loneliness. But now it seems I might not need them as much as I thought." After lunch, they all rested for a while. As the afternoon sun began to soften, Uncle Richard said, "Now we can head out. Get yourselves ready." When Oliver asked how far their destination was, Uncle Richard replied, "At this time, we could easily walk there while chatting. But since you have some with you, we'll go by car. It'll take no more than 8 to 10 minutes." After getting ready, they set off toward Oliver's new residence and workplace. Uncle Richard's personal car also caught Oliver's attention. Seeing his refined lifestyle, Oliver kept thinking that if he could at least reach a position like Uncle Richard's, that would be more than enough. After about 15 minutes, Uncle Richard stopped the car in front of a 2-story house. Seeing it, Oliver was surprised. Judging by its size and surrounding space, the house seemed somewhat larger than Uncle Richard's. However, in terms of elegance and upkeep, it seemed lacking. It was clear at a glance that the owners of the house had not been taking proper care of it. Once again surprising Oliver, Uncle Richard said, "You're wondering why a house like this is left in such neglect, aren't you? I told you, the owner of this house, my friend, comes here only a few times a year. And if I talk about this year, neither he nor any member of his family has come even once. They've bought a new property in Atlanta, and for now, they're thinking of selling this house if they get a good price. Earlier, when they used to come occasionally, there was a caretaker who looked after the place regularly. But he left the job a few months ago due to personal reasons. That's why the condition of the house has deteriorated further. You could say that they've left the responsibility of selling this house mostly on me, since my work involves these things. About a month ago, I told my friend that leaving the house unattended for so long would hurt its selling value. He then asked me to find someone trustworthy to take care of it. But I couldn't find anyone suitable. In a way, it turned out well. Otherwise, you might not have gotten this opportunity. Now, let's go inside." Oliver saw Uncle Richard take out a bunch of keys from a small bag in the car. Noticing Oliver looking at it, Uncle Richard said, "The previous caretaker handed everything over to me before leaving. From today, all these responsibilities will be yours." Then Uncle Richard unlocked the main gate and entered the house. Oliver and Martin followed him inside. Once inside, Uncle Richard turned on a few lights. From what he had heard earlier, Oliver had expected everything inside to be covered in thick dust. But after the lights came on, he noticed that wasn't the case. The furniture and belongings were kept neatly in place. Uncle Richard placed his things in a corner and began showing them around the house. Martin said, "If they're willing to sell such a nice house, it probably means they've arranged something even better in Atlanta." Hearing this, Uncle Richard smiled slightly and, turning to Oliver, said, "Only a few rooms upstairs. You won't have access to those. But aside from that, you're free to move around anywhere in the house." Then he pointed to 2 adjacent rooms on the left side of the ground floor and said, "You can stay in either of these rooms, whichever you prefer. There are no restrictions. And once you step outside, you'll find all your daily necessities nearby. At the end of the month, your payment will come through me. You'll receive it from me directly. But for now, you might need some money at any time. Saying this, Uncle Richard handed Oliver some dollars and added, "Keep this with you. It will be useful until you receive your salary." Oliver felt somewhat uncomfortable about this. He tried to tell Uncle Richard that he didn't need the money, as he had already come fully prepared. But Uncle Richard said, "Oh, it's nothing like that. I've been your age too. At this age, you do need some money to get by. You've had the courage to leave your home and come this far to join our activities. So consider this a gift from me. I want to tell you a few things today. Come, let's sit and talk comfortably." After that, Oliver, Uncle Richard, and Martin came into the hall room and sat on the sofa. Uncle Richard began speaking. "I know, Oliver, that you have many questions in your mind, and that's perfectly natural. I told you that with time you would gradually come to know everything. Since your accommodation and work arrangements are now settled, today I will tell you more about our activities. I have already told you about Sir William. The first thing you need to know is that our organization is spread across every region of the modern world. However, whatever we are able to do in this region is only possible under Sir William's supervision. In other words, his instructions are final in all matters of our activities. If you wish to achieve anything while being part of this, disobeying Sir William is simply not possible. Now, coming to when and where our activities take place, where we are now, Martin's house or my house is at most a 20-minute walk. But all our activities are held at Sir William's own residence, which is about 1.5 to 2 hours away by car. Our regular activities take place weekly, mainly at midnight on Saturdays. The first Saturday of every month is open for new members to join. On that day, Sir William gives a special address to the newcomers. At present, you will also be considered one such newcomer. Since it is now the middle of the month, after 2 weeks, on the coming Saturday, you will be able to attend your first weekly gathering with us at Sir William's house. Now let me give you a basic idea about the structure of our society. There are 4 grades in total: elementary grade, secondary grade, royal grade, and cardinal grade. Among these, the cardinal grade is the highest, and only Sir William belongs to it. The other grades follow in. Each grade has its own significance, and members of different grades possess different levels of power and respect. Each grade also has its own color sign, connected to supernatural aspects. The elementary grade has no color sign. The secondary grade's color sign is black. The royal grade's color sign is blue. And the cardinal grade's color sign is red. For now, this is all you need to know about the color signs. You will learn the rest in time. But remember this, if you want to move from one grade to a higher one, you will need immense dedication and focus. Without that, you may remain in the elementary grade your entire life. For example, my lifetime achievement has been reaching the royal grade, but what I had to do to get here, I don't want to discourage you by telling you now. And look, Martin has been with us for several months now, and in my personal observation, he is doing quite well. But even then, it will take him more time to be promoted from elementary to secondary grade. However, don't think that joining at the elementary level is something simple or ordinary. Even at this level, the results of your efforts will not disappoint you. Take Martin as an example. Even while being in the elementary grade, his current financial and social condition is far better than before. Now, I want to give you a personal piece of advice, though I won't explain the reason fully right now. You need to improve your physical capability and also increase your food intake slightly more than usual. From what I see, in the activities you are about to join, both physical and mental strength are extremely important. After saying all this, Uncle Richard paused. Oliver listened with great attention and surprise. Although he had been feeling a bit uneasy about staying alone so far from home, hearing all this from Uncle Richard made him feel excited. He thought that perhaps now the desires of his life would finally be fulfilled. Martin said, "You know, Oliver, if I can ever reach the secondary grade, I would consider that a huge achievement. Honestly, I don't have the patience and dedication that Uncle has. But I hope you will surpass me very quickly." Hearing this, Uncle Richard said, "I believe that too, Oliver, you will go very far. In our society, Every Royal Grade member has the responsibility to guide and support all the trusted elementary and secondary members connected through them. For now, spend these 2 weeks getting used to your new work. And since you're new to this place, it will take some time to adjust, right? After 2 weeks, on that Saturday, you will go with us to Sir William's house at the time. Until now, I used to take only Martin with me, but from now on, you will go as well. And as I told you, you can come to my office whenever you feel like it and spend time with Martin. There shouldn't be any problem with that. Alright, I won't extend this any further today. Take some rest. And if you face any problem, don't hesitate to let me know. With that, Uncle Richard and Martin got up and took their leave for the day. After they left, the house somehow began to feel like a haunted place to Oliver. Although the house was beside the road, at night, after 4 or 5, it would become completely silent. Surrounded by this silence, and lost in thoughts about Uncle Richard's words, Oliver, exhausted from the day, drifted into sleep. Dear listeners, Assalamu alaikum. Feel real fear with us. In the following days, Oliver's life passed quite normally. In terms of work, he didn't really have much to do. Since the house had been neglected for quite some time, it took him no more than 2 days to clean the dust and dirt that had accumulated in different parts of the house. After that, Oliver began to wonder what his actual job really was. Other than occasionally dusting a few things in the house and doing some light gardening, he had nothing else to do. For the first couple of days, Oliver didn't go far from the house. But as boredom started to grow, he began going to Uncle Richard's office almost regularly. Oliver realized that everything was exactly as Uncle Richard had described. The office was neat and well organized. Nearby, there were storage spaces for unnecessary items, and there was also a park close by. On the first day, Oliver had some trouble finding, but after going back and forth for a few days, he became quite familiar with the area. He also realized that if he knew the shortcuts, he could easily walk from the house he was staying in to Martin's house or Uncle Richard's office in a short amount of time. Another thing Oliver noticed was that Martin didn't seem very busy either. On the days Oliver visited the office, he never saw Uncle Richard there. Instead, he would find Martin sitting idly, flipping through magazines or writing some papers. Whenever Oliver went there, Martin seemed quite happy, because most of the time he too spent his days alone. After visiting the office for a few days, a more friendly bond developed between Oliver and Martin. One afternoon, Uncle Richard did come to the office with a few clients, and Oliver was there as well. Seeing Oliver, Uncle Richard seemed quite pleased. However, since he had some confidential discussions with the clients, he asked Martin to take Oliver to the nearby park. At the park, Oliver and Martin talked about various things. At one point, Martin said, "You see, Oliver, Uncle Richard is like this. You won't find him at the office very often. It's good that you're here though. At least we get some chance to go out and walk around. Before this job, I used to work in a factory. It was a very hard job, but at least I could pass time chatting with others. Here, I don't get that opportunity, so sometimes it feels quite lonely." Uncle Richard says that since we are part of this organization, we should spend at least some part of the day completely alone. Oliver then said, "Can I say something, Martin? Don't mind. I've heard that in secret societies like this, those in higher positions usually stay very busy. But looking at Uncle Richard, it doesn't seem like he is very occupied with such matters." Hearing this, Martin replied, "Your point makes sense, Oliver, but our society is quite different from anything you might know. Uncle Richard definitely holds an important position, but neither you nor I would understand that. The day you directly participate in the activities at Sir William's house, you will realize how different and how effective our work truly is." Oliver said, "Sir William must guide us regularly so that our path forward becomes easier." At this, a strange expression appeared on Martin's face. Lowering his voice so that no one else could hear, he said, "Let me tell you a few things, Oliver. First of all, Sir William only appears on the first Saturday of each month. You won't see him at any other time. Everything related to him happens only at his house. Yet, our regular rituals and activities are conducted by the Royal Grade members, and Uncle Richard is one of them. When we perform our rituals, no one knows where Sir William is, especially members of the elementary and secondary grades. None of them know anything about it, I'm sure. Personally, I think he stays somewhere within his house during that time. Because one day, Uncle Richard and I arrived quite early, and while entering through the gate, I saw Sir William from a distance walking into one of the rooms inside the house. When I asked Uncle Richard about it, he told me that there is a strict prohibition on asking such questions, so I didn't pursue it further. But, Oliver, I'm telling you this because I consider you a close friend now. Sir William doesn't seem normal to me. To Uncle Richard, he's almost like an angel. But to me, there's definitely something strange about him. The first time I saw him, I was shocked. Based on what Uncle Richard had told me about seeing him 15 years ago, Sir William should have been an old man by now. But when I saw him face to face, it was as if I was looking at the exact same man, unchanged from 15 years ago. Tell me, Oliver, how is that even possible? Even if we assume he lives a very disciplined life, this still seems impossible. When you see him yourself, you'll understand. Sometimes, the way Sir William smiles, it feels to me like a cruel devil hiding behind a human face, barely concealing itself. I'm telling you all this because I see you as a friend. When we first talked about these things, I never imagined I'd share this with you. I wouldn't even dare to think such thoughts in front of Uncle Richard, let alone say them out loud. But despite all this, when I think about my difficult past, these doubts fade away. At least what we're doing isn't openly a crime. And if it allows us to live a stable life, then what's the harm? Just don't get scared hearing all this. I'm with you. Since we are in the same grade, we'll be involved in the same activities together. So there's nothing to worry about. And since we only see Sir William once a month, however he may be, it doesn't really affect us much. From what I've seen, he values personal freedom a lot. And he absolutely dislikes interfering in others' affairs. Hearing this, Oliver felt quite surprised. He then asked Martin, "But what kind of rituals do you actually perform here? And whom do you worship? Uncle Richard has already learned a lot from you, but I still haven't been able to understand anything clearly. If you ask me what I think, then based on what I've read, I know that in this region, for quite some time, there has secretly been the worship of Lucifer, the ruler of hell, which supposedly grants supernatural powers. I think perhaps you are doing something like that." Hearing this, Martin replied, "Since I am a member of this society, I also have to follow certain rules and regulations, which I cannot go beyond. There are especially some rules that, if broken, result in severe punishment, and I've heard those punishments are not ordinary. So I cannot answer your question right now. You will learn everything directly from Sir William on your first day, the initiation ceremony. But as a friend, I can tell you this much. What you are assuming may not be entirely correct." After talking for a while longer about various other things, they returned. Oliver realized that whatever Martin might be involved in, as a person he was genuinely kind. Perhaps it was due to unbearable hardship that Martin had been forced into this path. For some reason, Oliver felt that Martin didn't possess deep knowledge about these supernatural matters. Maybe it was only through Uncle Richard's recommendation that he had joined this secret society. Now, all that mattered was whether Oliver himself could begin his journey successfully, because within it lay the key to fulfilling his long-cherished, seemingly impossible dreams. Before he knew it, 2 weeks passed quickly. Finally, the day arrived, the one Oliver had been eagerly waiting for. It was the first Saturday of the new month. This was the day of Oliver's initiation, the day he would fully join Uncle Richard and Martin in their activities. Thinking about all this, a sense of unease began to grow within him. So far from home, what exactly was he getting himself involved in? Something hidden from the eyes of the public. Who knew how long it had been going on? How dangerous was this work? Were there horrors here beyond anything he could even imagine? These thoughts surfaced in Oliver's mind for a moment, only to fade away again. Because if one wished to gain wealth and supernatural power, one could not afford to hesitate. Uncle Richard had already told him that by midnight, Oliver would have an important task, to go with Martin to Uncle Richard's house. Following the plan, Oliver arrived at Martin's house on time, and together they set off for Uncle Richard's place. When they reached there, Oliver saw that Richard was already fully prepared. Soon after, the three of them set out in Uncle Richard's private car, heading toward Sir William's house. As Uncle Richard drove, he said to Oliver, It will take quite some time to reach Sir William's house, at least close to 2 hours. Don't fall asleep again. If you show up there with sleepy eyes, Sir might get annoyed. Oliver replied, You don't need to worry about that, Uncle Richard. I spent most of the day sleeping, so there's no chance of me feeling sleepy now. Besides, today is a special day in my life. Sleep has already fled from my eyes. Uncle Richard had said it would take 2 hours, but when their car finally arrived in front of Sir William's house, Oliver checked his watch and realized it had taken roughly an hour and a half. Stepping out of the car, Oliver looked at the house in the dim glow of the night, and for nearly a full minute, he couldn't even blink. Was this even a house or a royal palace? Standing at the outer gate and looking across the vast lawn stretching all the way to the main entrance, Oliver felt that one could comfortably play a full game of football there. Following Uncle Richard, Oliver and Martin entered through the gate. 2 stern-looking security guards stood at the entrance, and the moment they saw Uncle Richard, they respectfully stepped aside and allowed them in. After walking for several minutes, they finally reached the main door. Oliver assumed Uncle Richard would knock or ring the bell, but to his surprise, Uncle Richard simply opened the door himself and gestured for them to follow. Oliver had expected to see many people inside, especially since such an important activity supposedly took place here. But as they entered the house, through the hall and beyond, he saw no one. The entire interior was decorated with extremely expensive furniture, antique paintings, and valuable sculptures. Everything about it radiated a grand, royal elegance. Yet something about it felt strangely unnatural. At that moment, Uncle Richard said, I understand what you're thinking, Oliver. You're wondering why there aren't more people here. Yes, all our activities take place in this house, but not in plain sight. He then gestured for them to follow him further and said to Martin with a faint smile, Your friend's surprise has only just begun. There's still a lot more left to astonish him. Wouldn't you say, Martin? Martin chuckled and replied, That's absolutely right, Uncle Richard. This is just the beginning. As they continued walking behind Uncle Richard toward the back of the house, Oliver noticed a staircase leading downward. When Uncle Richard and Martin began descending, Oliver said, This must be the basement, right? So all your activities happen down there. Uncle Richard replied, You already seem to have some understanding of these matters, Oliver. You should know that such things are always kept hidden from the public eye. There's no need to be nervous. Today, many things will become clear to you. But as soon as Oliver stepped down into the basement, he was completely stunned. Could this even be called a basement? It felt more like an entire separate floor beneath the house, almost as large as the house itself. At the bottom of the stairs was a massive hall-like space. The floor was wooden, and at its center was a complex geometric design shaped like a polygon. From one end of the hall, a long passage extended forward, with numerous closed doors on both sides. The passage itself was shrouded in darkness. No light reached that area. But where they stood, the lighting was more than sufficient. As Oliver took it all in, an unsettling realization crept into his mind. Around 50 to 60 people were already present in the hall. Each of them was dressed in long black robes with hoods covering their heads. However, among them, a very small number wore robes that had a blue silk embroidery near the chest. Oliver noticed that the others were divided into several groups centered around those individuals wearing the blue embroidered robes. They were not really talking among themselves, only occasionally whispering a few words, and even those were spoken very softly. As Oliver stood there, astonished by everything he was seeing, Uncle Richard leaned close to his ear and whispered, "This is how things work here. Never raise your voice while you're here, and don't approach or speak to strangers on your own. You'll learn the rules in detail soon. For now, come with me. We need to put on the society's attire over our clothes." Following Uncle Richard and Martin, Oliver walked to a wooden wardrobe in one corner of the room. As soon as the doors of the wardrobe were opened, he saw numerous identical robes hanging inside. From there, Uncle Richard took out 2 completely black robes and handed them to Oliver and Martin. For himself, he picked a robe decorated with blue embroidery. Then, in a low voice, he said to Oliver, "Only the Cardinal Grade and Royal Grade members have different attire. After putting them on, they returned to their previous spot. Soon, 3 or 4 more people came and stood near them. Pointing toward Oliver, Uncle Richard said, "From today, he joins us. His name is Oliver." Hearing this, they quietly greeted Oliver and shook his hand. Uncle Richard then added, "Although they are from different areas, they are also connected to this organization through us. As a Royal Grade member, it is my responsibility to guide them. From my side, you are the new member of this group, and also the new member of this month. I'm not yet sure if there are newcomers from other Royal Grade members." After saying this, Uncle Richard stepped forward and went to greet the individuals wearing the blue embroidered robes, speaking with them in hushed tones. At that moment, a tall figure dressed in a long black robe descended the stairs and, in a loud, announcement-like voice, declared, "Sir William will be arriving shortly. He has requested all of you to take your seats in the designated chamber." After delivering the message, the man went back upstairs. Oliver was confused. Uncle Richard had just told him that no one should speak loudly, yet this man had practically shouted his announcement. After the announcement, everyone began moving toward the passage. Uncle Richard returned and led Oliver and Martin along with the others. As they walked, Uncle Richard said, "That man is Sir William's personal attendant. That is his duty." Following the others through the passage, Oliver entered the first room on the left. From a distance, he had thought the rooms might be old and abandoned. But as the door opened and people began entering one by one, he realized that this room had been specially prepared for a particular event. Bright lights illuminated the ceiling. Rows of expensive chairs were arranged neatly, and at the front, there was a raised platform. On the wooden floor of that platform, there was the same geometric design Oliver had seen outside. To him, the room felt somewhat like a classroom. There was a raised area for a speaker, just like a teacher's platform, and enough seating for an audience. Uncle Richard instructed Martin to sit in a chair in the second row, while he himself sat in the front row with Oliver. Oliver noticed that many seats in the front row were left empty, while the rows behind gradually filled up. Only a few individuals wearing blue embroidered robes were seated in the front row, and beside just 2 of them, he saw individuals wearing plain black robes like his own. Looking at this, Uncle Richard said, "Compared to other months, it seems fewer new members are being initiated this time. Let me tell you, Oliver, this chamber is opened only on the first Saturday of each month. The front row is always reserved for Royal Grade members and the new members under their supervision. On this day, Sir William introduces himself to the newcomers and delivers a special speech, something essential for their journey ahead. As long as Sir William is present here, complete silence must be maintained. Only if he asks a question may we respond, and even that is rare, so don't speak unnecessarily. And one more piece of advice, after his speech, Sir William usually asks if anyone has questions. He will likely do so today as well. But trust me, whatever he chooses to say is more than enough. There is no point in annoying him with unnecessary questions." Oliver nodded in agreement. In truth, after everything he had seen since arriving here, he didn't feel like asking any questions at all. Just then, the sound of the door opening drew his attention. A man of about 6 feet in height, appearing to be middle-aged, entered the room. Everyone immediately stood up. Uncle Richard nudged Oliver, signaling him to rise as well. Oliver instantly understood. This must be Sir William. Sir William stepped forward and stood on the raised platform, then politely gestured for everyone to sit down. His nose was sharp, resembling the beak of an eagle, and his gaze was piercing and intense. Oliver felt as though Sir William's slightly reddish eyes could see straight through everyone present, far beyond the surface, cutting deep into their very souls. Seeing the strong, golden-haired, middle-aged man before him, Oliver realized that Martin had spoken the truth. The description Uncle Richard had given from 15 years ago matched Sir William's current appearance perfectly. But how was that even possible? Time always changes a person's appearance. Aging is inevitable. That is the natural order. Oliver also noticed that Sir William was wearing a similar black robe, but upon it was a large, distinct symbol embroidered with a shimmering red fabric. That symbol seemed familiar. Oliver remembered seeing it for the first time engraved on a wooden box at Uncle Richard's house, the same box that contained the strange blue stone. Later, he had seen the same design carved into the floor here, and now it was right beneath Sir William's feet as he stood on the platform. Although everyone else's faces were partially hidden under their hoods, Sir William's face was completely visible. Stepping slightly forward, Sir William spoke. Most of you who are present here already know that the first Saturday of every month is a special day for us. However, I see that on this occasion, the number of new members is quite lower than in previous months. He paused for a moment, then curved his lips into a mysterious smile and continued. Of course, this is only natural. Our jewelers carefully examine and select before bringing forth a gem. But I firmly believe that among today's new members, there is someone who will make a remarkable contribution to our cause in the future. As Sir William said this, Oliver felt as though he was looking directly at him. There was something heavier, almost unnatural, about the tone of his voice. Even after staying in that place beneath the main floor of the house for quite some time, Oliver didn't feel suffocated. He began to think that there must be some special arrangement for air circulation here. Sir William spoke. First of all, I would like to thank and congratulate those of you who have joined us today. Each of you has earned the opportunity to be here. You have proven yourselves worthy of becoming part of our activities. I hope your perseverance will never disappoint you in life. I know that many questions have gathered in your minds. I cannot promise that I will answer them all, but today it is my duty to give you as complete an understanding as possible about our activities. First, I will try to explain what we truly do. After that, I will explain the rules of this society, rules that you must, without exception, follow. He paused briefly, as if preparing himself, then continued. All of you who are here, especially those who are new, surely understand that from today onward, you have joined a society where the worship of the so-called benevolent God is not practiced at all. If anyone remains devoted to God, then the doors of the church are open to them. Now, you may be thinking that, like many other societies, we worship Lucifer. If you are firmly holding on to that belief, then I ask you to set your assumptions aside and listen carefully. By the time I finish, you will understand how fortunate you truly are, and how promising your future can be. Sir William paused again. Oliver had no idea what he was about to hear next. Looking around, he felt as though everyone present had become completely still, like statues, entranced by some invisible force. Even Uncle Richard, sitting beside him, showed no movement since Sir William had begun speaking. In that same heavy, unervingly deep voice, Sir William continued, "The world in which you and I exist is not the only world. Where my vision fades into darkness, that is where another world begins. A path to the supernatural realm. In that realm exist entities so terrifying that they are far beyond the understanding of ordinary humans. The inhabitants of that world possess unimaginable power. Yet, they are also thousands of times more violent and grotesque than us. Today, I will tell you a historical tale from that very world. When people hear of supernatural power, the first name that often comes to mind is Lucifer, because that is all the Bible speaks of. But today, you will understand that although Lucifer may be considered a supreme power among his narrow circle of followers, in his own world, his true standing is far more limited. In the dark world I speak of, there exist beings whose very mention might make even Lucifer hesitate. Let me tell you about one such entity. The time, perhaps 800,000 years ago, or even earlier. Among the few immensely powerful devil emperors of that era, one stood above many others, the great Emperor Morvrix. To even utter his name without cause is considered a form of disrespect. But for your understanding, it is necessary that I speak of him, and I hope he will forgive us for it. Emperor Morvrix was a being of infinite power, fearless, dominant, and the ruler of a vast empire with billions of subjects. For generations, he practiced an ancient and extremely rare form of blood-based black magic. It was a form of magic so complex that even other highly skilled devils knew nothing about it. Even Lucifer himself had tried many times to learn this power, and had failed every single time.